Congressman, thank you so much for joining us. We have a lot to talk about in a short period of time. So I want to get into concerns about cybersecurity, ByteDance, TikTok. There's so many things being thrown around. And obviously we saw that the CEO was recently questioned by our lawmakers. So do you feel like there will be a national TikTok ban? And what would that look like even?
Well, the question comes down to how do you ultimately protect the information that consumers ultimately have? And we know from the user agreement that TikTok users in Europe have to sign that officials in China have access to that user information. The day of those hearings that the TikTok CEO had, he actually was using the platform to try to push a message, which is one of the things about the national security concerns that are present. And so this is a difficult issue, but at the end of the day, the national security concern is a foreign adversary having the ability to influence a large portion of the population. I think the CEO said there was 150 million Americans that were using that. And so whether a ban could potentially happen, it seems like the votes right now may not be there. But there's other things that even the executive branch could do. So this is one of those issues where there's executive branch interest and congressional interest in doing something, and the details are going to ultimately matter.
Now, some people have said that it's not an equal comparison, or it is an equal comparison to say, well, if we're going to, get strict on China and ByteDance and TikTok, then we also have to be strict on Facebook and Twitter. Is that a good comparison or not?
Well, I think some of the things that we need in the United States, one is a national breach standard, right? We need a privacy law. We're using the European GDPR, which was passed a number of years ago. I also think that when it comes to data, everything that I do online is mine. And I should be able to have control of that. And I should be able to decide what happens. So this is just one part of a broader conversation when it comes to our digital lives and how do we protect our information and what best practices should be there on how we can protect our privacy, and I make sure that my information is protected.
One more question for you. It has been almost 11 months since the shooting at the Uvalde schools. You represented the area that covered Uvalde. What do you feel like the nation needs to do next?
Oh, look, I think this is the problem that is manifesting from here is not only the number of families that have a hole in their heart that will never be filled. You have 50% of teenagers in the United States of America are concerned about potentially getting shot at school. That's a crazy statistic. That's something that we need to do something about. When you look at what should we be doing, I think at a minimum, raising the age of 21 to purchasing a long gun. And that's what it is to have a handgun. We should have comprehensive background checks. We also need to be addressing the mental health issue. There's some groups out there, one called the Violence Project, that has looked at all of the mass shootings since I believe it was 1968, and they found that all of them have some similarities, and it usually starts with the shooter having some kind of childhood trauma. Are we able to address that, find that, and address deal with that? Are we able, when there's an incident that kicks them off or causes them to break, are we prepared to respond? Are first responders aware? Does everybody know that there's a suicide prevention hotline? Now, suicide prevention is different, right? But if you got information about someone thinking about having homicidal thoughts, what is the appropriate response to that? That's not something that the entire country is aware of and understand. But ultimately, we need to be making sure that we're protecting our kids and we're doing something about this.
Thank you so much for your time.